Hello, everybody, and welcome to this, the latest edition of Chin Stroker VS Punter. I am Mike in Wellington, New Zealand, and with me, as always, is Paul in Birmingham, England. How the heck are you, sir?
Marvellous. Bloody hot as well.
Yes, I've heard it's meant to be insufferable.
England has become a tropical country for some reason.
Bloody feast or famine, isn't it?
And we've kind of had weeks. I mean, you know how unusual it is, but when people don't really understand when you live in Britain that you can't plan a barbecue for a week's time.
No.
Because nobody can tell you what the weather's going to be like in a week in this country.
The arrogance of planning a barbecue in advance.
For about 2 months now, we've had stretches of a week of sort of temperatures in the mid to high 30s.
Wow.
And then it drops down to sort of mid to high 20s and then goes back up again. And it's been kind of doing that for a few weeks now. And we're in the sort of it's like 22 degrees outside and it's 9 o'clock at night. So you'd usually expect it to be a bit cooler by now.
I just can't explain myself in this weather.
It feels worse because I don't know why it's so humid in this bloody country, but it was like 85% humidity and 37 degrees the other day.
And you know, we're not built for it, are we? It's like
we are not.
In Wellington, New Zealand, it's funny because the climate here isn't massively different to the UK, but it is warmer and it doesn't get as cold. And everybody in Wellington, particularly people who've moved here from other cities, always joke like, oh, bloody Wellington weather. And I'm like, oh, my young friend, you just don't know. And I find that whenever I'm in an office, all of the people, because there's a huge amount of expats here in Wellington, in New Zealand in general. Obviously, there's a huge British community. And you'll find that the British people will always be the people sat next to an open window in a short sleeve shirt when everybody else has got 5 layers on, because anything above about 21 degrees. Yeah. Anything above about 21 degrees, which is considered cold here, we just can't handle. But conversely...
I know. I mean, I'm a bit better than that. A few days at 35, 36 starts to wear me down a bit, but when it's in the mid-20s, that's
kind of ideal for me. You know, I'd be happy for it to be kind of 23 degrees all year. That'd do me just fine, thank you. So we are back. We're going to do a little bit of what we've been watching, maybe get into some topics. Quick reminder, feedback very much appreciated. Chinstroker vs Punter at gmail.com. Check out our friend shows, including the Rewatch Project, Film Bastards, The Good, the Bad and the Odd, Talk Without Rhythm, and Entertainment Landfill. I'm going to go first, Paul, because I know you have been, I don't know if you want to talk about this at all, but I know that you have been ensconced in the World Cup. So that I would imagine has impacted your film and television watching. But any observations on the World Cup or the coverage of the World Cup or any of that good stuff?
Yeah, it's been the most contentious. And considering, you know, there was one held during the war, it was held in America and Mexico and Canada, but from the very beginning, you got kind of distasteful shots of African players being put through a metal detector on the runway at some airport, and certain teams having to pay bonds to be allowed into the country because they're from places deemed like not, you know, friendly to.
Oh wow! Okay, because I haven't followed the World Cup at all. It was a week in before I even realised it was on. That's how isolated I am. So when you say, so this has all been issues with America's foreign policy, the general insanity of America at the moment. Has that been the issue?
Yeah, and the fact that it's the most expensive in history, which means that obviously a lot of people don't get to go to it. There's been some iffy refereeing, to say the least, to the point where people are sort of pointing at FIFA and accusing them of possibly easing the route of certain teams through the competition, like Argentina.
To what end? What's the motivation for that?
Well, I mean, Argentina have Messi, and Messi is widely accepted to be the greatest player ever to play the game.
Oh, so there's just a feeling that it's good for the game.
I think it's just a feeling that it's good for the advertisers and good for keeping attention on the World Cup. And I mean,
I don't want the superstar to not be involved.
The head of FIFA, Infantino, is is a very much a kind of a shitheel, as we will go on to talk about later on. He's the sort of person that is supposed to be isn't supposed to be so friendly with dignitaries and rich businessmen, but yet he often gets pictured at parties. And they gave Donald Trump that kind of invented peace prize just before the World Cup started, which I'm sure was kind of one of the terms of America accepting to host. The Americans had a player sent off, and then Donald Trump phoned FIFA and complained, and they rescinded the red card. Yeah, all in all, it's left. I mean, the football's still been quite good because I mean, footballers just get on with it mostly. But the Argentina-England game was pretty nasty, and they ended it with the Argentina players holding up a sort of white sheet with some sort of message about give us back the Falklands on it, which is completely against. I mean, it's actually against FIFA's own rules where you're not allowed to make any political statements as part of the game. They don't want to mix the
And
two.
you have to be, and I say this non-partisan. I'm completely ignorant to this entire conversation, but with rules like that, it has to be absolutely all or nothing. You can't open the door slightly.
No. I mean, players traditionally in the past have written messages on their sort of undershirt. And if they score, they lift up their jersey and the message is written there. So yeah, it's been a bit ugly in places. And I mean they've done things like they've put a drinks break in halfway through each half. So now it's in quarters.
Oh
So now
wow!
you get lots of extra advertising time.
So they've basically turned football into tennis.
They've turned football into an American sport because that's
Oh,
what they
okay.
do.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have quarters and they have halftime shows, and because most of the people that go there, number one, the fucking stadiums are so vast that when it shows a camera shot from the top of them, it could be anyone on that pitch. Really, you can barely see the football. The players are dots.
Yeah.
And some people have paid thousands of pounds per ticket to get in there. And it's all the other crap that goes with it as well. All the celebrities that show up and a lot of
Yeah.
stuff
There's
that's
a lot of
going into
anti.
this World Cup that doesn't feel like it has anything to do with football or any interest in football.
It's the kind of the Hollywoodization, and I think that us as Brits, even though we consume a huge amount of American culture, we were raised really on American culture in a lot of ways. We
Yeah.
do bristle at that stuff quite a lot. You know, I think it's seen as being distasteful. Sprinkle on a little bit of Trump presidency and all of the things that go with that, and the usual hypocrisy, corruption, and sour grapes that goes along with football.
And this has been the biggest World Cup. So they added 16 teams. So
Yeah.
instead of 32, I mean, it used to be 16 when we won it in '66. Nobody English ever mentions this,
Surely
but
it's good for.
there was only 16 teams in it when we won it.
Oh wow, that's
Then
a
it
great
became
point.
then it became 32,
And
and
we
in
haven't
this
won it
one, the
since.
first time, it's 48.
Mm.
Which playing in the third place game against France tonight. The finals played tomorrow, and that will be the 104th game of the World Cup.
Surely, in some ways, though, it's good for the sport because America is a cultural powerhouse. So,
Sinkhole.
well, I
No,
mean,
America isn't a cultural powerhouse anymore. I don't. I just genuinely think
it's
that
not
there
what
is
it's not.
more
It's not what it once was. You're
anti-American.
right. No,
There's
no,
more anti-American sentiment, and I mean, every other movie released by Hollywood is a financial
yeah, no,
flop
I know,
at
I
the
know,
moment.
I know, and there's definitely issues there. But at the same time, if you go onto Spotify and look at the global charts, it's all America and Japan and Korea. If you look at the film charts, even though the films are bombing, the top 10 films, I guarantee you, 8 of them will still be American. So popular media culture is going through a huge slump globally at the moment. But I would ask for question. I'm not asserting this because I don't know anything about football, and I'm not going to, come in and be, like an American, but sort of be one of those, hey, I've been talking about this for 5 minutes, I'm now an expert kind of people. But it's surely that is a platform for the sport, and isn't that?
No.
Aren't there some positives for that?
No. That's it.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I mean,
by the end of this World Cup, wherever it was held, there would have been 5 billion people watching it over the 5 weeks.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the planet that touches that, and that's without America being interested in football at all. They've had professional leagues for decades now.
And that interest, I'd imagine, the American interest, that's probably going to dissipate as soon as the World Cup's gone, I'd imagine, and probably just return to...
America did okay to begin with, and the interest raised a little bit. Then they got absolutely hammered and knocked out, and again, the interest drops again. But I think that, football doesn't need America, without a doubt. Football's the biggest sport on the planet.
That's fair.
And America's never really been interested in it, and football's got along just fine. So,
and America's got its own sports that a lot of that, with the exception of basketball, most people outside the country aren't terribly interested in.
No, yeah, you're right. I know Japan play American football and baseball, but they are also huge on football as well. So they've sort of got both.
They're a melting pot.
Apart from that, I don't know many sports outside. I don't know many countries that play basketball, or Cuba maybe.
Yeah.
There's not many though. But yeah, I just think that the last 3 World Cups have been held in Russia, Qatar, and America, and Canada and Mexico. And out of those 3 World Cups, ironically, probably Russia was the most sort of a football-led nation. Football, they've had professional leagues for almost as long as anybody in Europe. But Qatar are not a footballing nation, and America aren't a footballing nation. In fact, out of all of them, Mexico is the only real footballing nation. And you can tell the difference as well, because all the games held in Mexico, the atmosphere was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and it cuts
they're mad for it.
And it cuts to the games in America. And number one, because overridingly, obviously, most people in those stadiums are probably American, apart from the few to see their team. So it just didn't lead to a very good atmosphere. Quite quiet. I think because of the way American stadiums are designed. But if you play in England, even if you go to Manchester United, if you're in the front row, you're almost touching distance of the players. But in American stadiums, you're sat 50 feet from the edge of the pitch and 20 foot off the ground if you're in the first row, because they're all ginormous built-up things, I suppose, so they can fit all the cheerleaders and half-time shit in at the beginning.
And the amount of television coverage, and also, those things are built. They're not just sports arenas, they're event arenas as well. They have as many concerts on at them as they do anything else.
Yeah, all in all, I've enjoyed the football. At the beginning, there was like 4 or 5 games on every day. It was great for someone who likes watching football, although some of them were kicking off at 4 o'clock in the morning. But everything else that's gone with it.
It's a shame I wasn't into the World Cup, because a lot of the timing worked out quite well for New Zealand as well. There are a lot I could see. It's funny because
they were in it.
Yeah, I didn't even realise the World Cup was on until I'm in a WhatsApp group with Ian, Jordan, Dude Foz, and Noel, and I'd wake up and there'd be like 75 messages, and I'd be like, "Oh, I guess there's soccer ball going on here." It's there's something happening. And New Zealand, there's the place that I work at, they had the New Zealand game on for one day, and then everybody kind of went back about their business. But I did notice that I could see people in my UK WhatsApp group going, "Oh, I don't know, is it worth staying up for the game?" But it would be on at lunchtime for me, So it was just it was a bit of it was wasted on me a little bit there. But anyway, I was just thinking. So film TV. I've got a fair bit of what I've watched, and I'll be curious to get. I think some of it is stuff you've probably seen, so we can talk about that. But before we get onto that, though, I know that there were a couple of topics that you wanted to chew on a little bit there. Do you want to transition us into that?
Oh, what? Well, I was just I can't remember what sparked me thinking of this, but it might have been, I watched Videodrome the other night, and it might have just been James Woods in that. But I was thinking about all the sort of world-class shitheels that are in films and TV.
Define a shitheel for me, please.
Well, I didn't. Do you know? I sat and made my list, which I think I sort of I made a list just off the top of my head of about 8 or 9 names, and then I went online to see if anybody else had done the same thing and see where my people on my list matched up and all the rest of it. And I found out that shitheel is a wrestling term.
Yeah, it is
apparently.
a heel. They always talk about somebody being a heel.
So the villains of the WWE and WWF and all the rest of it were classed as heels, and apparently that's where the term shitheel comes from. And it's just that kind of love to hate character that appears in film and television that's just kind of a slimy, mean.
I find
Usually in there because the audience can't wait for them to get their comeuppance at some point.
yeah. I'd go one step. I mean, I agree with all of that completely. That's a very good defining of them. I'd go one step further and say that when I think of cinematic shitheels, there's very specific traits that I think of. And this will inevitably segue into some of our favourite shitheels, some of our examples. But for me, there's usually some kind of bureaucratic, weaselly, cowardly, self-serving element to them as well, very specifically. I find the older I get, the more I can relate to these characters. I've noticed, like, there's a TV show, I'm going to mention this in what I watched, which is one of my favourite TV shows of the last few years that debuted this year, called Widow's Bay. And I'll get into what that show is on the what we've watched. But in broad terms, the woman who created the show said, "What would it be like if you made Jaws from the point of view of the mayor, and you actually made the mayor the main character, but you had his character motivations?" And when I think of characters like the mayor in Jaws, the older I get, the more I think, well, he's just trying to do his job. He can't help it. He's probably really under a lot of pressure, under a lot of stress, and all that kind of stuff.
It is Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. If the beaches aren't open, what's that going to do to the local economy? What's a couple of kid legs? if that, it's a small price. It's an offering, like a sacrifice. But yeah, so when I think of a shitheel, I think of somebody who's self-serving, somebody who the audience boo hisses. I mean, I'm going to start with my first one. And I haven't done any research on this. Is all completely top of the head.
I want to start with my first one.
Okay, you start with your one. You start with your one. You start with your one. Go on.
Okay.
I know who you're going to go for.
The actor who quintessentially almost always played amazing shitheels, especially in the 80s.
Can I guess?
Go on.
It's going to be the Ghostbusters guy, isn't it?
William Atherton.
Yes.
Well, he is for me. He's the shitheel in Die Hard.
Yeah, well, he's the
springs to mind.
He's the patron saint of shitheels, isn't he? He's kind of the Mount Rushmore. He's the treasurer of the shitheel society.
He fulfills your description for Ghostbusters. He's the bureaucrat. He's the dickless pencil neck. But in Die Hard, he's the slime ball. He's the slimy journalist that wants to get the story before everyone else, and it doesn't matter if he puts McClane's family in danger. He doesn't even consider it. But I mean, I know he was in Sugarland Express and Real Genius, and he was in Looking for Mr. Goodbar as well. So he I don't know whether he played slime balls in all of them, but I'm pretty sure most things I've seen William Atherton, he is playing.
I think part of it as well, this sounds awful, is that he's ginger. I think I think we just don't trust him. Like, I mean, look at this. I'm going to put a picture up on the screen here. Look at the screen now. Look at that face. Look at that expression. It's
I've
just
got that picture up on
yeah.
my.
It's just that it's the kind of cockiness and I think a big part.
It's smarmy, is what
Yes,
it is.
smarmy, that's the perfect word. And I think that how we view shitheels changes over the years and is dictated by society. And one of the things about films like Die Hard is that they were very working class movies. Often in those films, and you see it in The Last Boy Scout, you see it in Jaws as well with the mayor, often the shitheel will be some bureaucratic figure, like some pencil pusher, and the hero will be a working class person, a cop, or some schlubby
Yeah,
character who
but
knows how it really is.
in the in the well, at the late into the end of the 90s and into the noughties, I think it changed from bureaucrat to corporate puppet. I think there's very much a switch to
Yes,
corpo's bad. Because I remember,
it's tech bros now, young tech bros.
I was quite surprised at how many comedies have great shit heels in them.
And after
Com
and there'll
comedic
always be that great
movies.
moment when they get their comeuppance, where like a crowd will be running over them and they'll be lying down. Like the Adam Sandler films have got great shit heels as well.
I've got
And that's just occurred to me.
oh, it's
Bradley Whitford, is it?
Bradley Whitford as I'm looking at my list here. Eric Gordon in Billy Madison.
Well, let's talk about him. What makes him such a great shit heel?
That's the did you see that guy's balls? Yeah, they were weird looking.
Yeah, that's the thing. Often as well, a shit heel is motivated by a jealousy of just kind of how cool he kind of wants to be the hero often. He wants to be Venkman.
He's quite close to Ginger in this film as well.
Yeah, he's got a sort
The
of
pictures.
a rosy hue about him, isn't it?
Billy Madison is about a guy who's basically going to inherit this huge fortune, but he has to have passed his what I can't remember what the Americans call it. Is it GPD or whatever the general? He basically he crashed out of high school and never got his diploma, so he has to basically go back to he has to learn all these sort of high school lessons again. And if he doesn't inherit the company, then the Bradley Whitford character, who is like the CEO or the sort of top dog in the company, is the man who gets to inherit it instead. So the sort of playoff is between the corporate guy and the Sandler character.
Yeah.
But he's Bradley Whitford is so good in this film. I mean, it's not like a, who's the guy that played George in Seinfeld?
Oh, Jason Alexander.
Jason Alexander. Now in Pretty Woman,
Yes.
he's the ultimate shitheel.
Well, he attempts to sexually assault her, doesn't he? I would say he transcends shit heel by that point.
But I think it's not the assault, it's the Weasley way he goes about.
Well, you make a great point by bringing him up, and that one would never have occurred to me. But what you're also referencing there, and I'm going to do another screen share and go back to Die Hard for a second, is another popular one, the yuppie shitheel. And do you remember this guy? I'm popping him on the screen. Yeah. So who we've got there is we've got Hart Bochner as Harry Ellis in Die Hard. He's the bearded kind of cocaine sniffing yuppie who betrays them, and that's another era specific archetype as well. Is the yuppie shitheel. That was a big one. Well, I'm going to mention my first one is, and of course, the guy William Atherton. He is he William Atherton? Am I saying that? Is that his name? Yeah.
Yes.
He's the one I think everybody's mind goes to. So I knew straight away. One for me that was always a really big one is Mark Metcalf, who would go on to play the Master in Buffy the Vampire Slayer as Niedermeyer in Animal House. And he's the kind of
that's a deep cut.
yeah. He's the kind of in the 1970s, often the shit heel would have kind of Nazi undercurrents about them. It was very much about fascism. And he's a great one, drop and give me 20. And he would reprise that character. Like there was a series in the 1980s on MTV of very successful music videos by Twisted Sister. We're not going to take it, that song. And he played Niedermeyer in those videos, but he was like Niedermeyer as a dad. And he was like him having to go at his kid about listening to heavy metal music and shouting at his kid, drop and give me 20. And I think that kind of twisting of the archetype, because you see that archetype in non-shitheel forms as well. Like I think about Louis Gossett Jr. in a whole bunch of films, in Officer and a Gentleman, and his masterful performance in Iron Eagle 1 and 3 as well. The kind of the no nonsense drill instructor, but often they were sometimes portrayed as noble mentor figures as well. But in the case of Niedermeyer, I mean, even the name, often these characters have got wonderful weaselly names, like Niedermeyer is such an asshole name. I just
Principal Snyder.
Snyder, yeah.
He's on my list.
It's like President Grovelly Sniveller. It's very much kind of. It's like, what did George Lucas name all of these characters? Like I always used to joke about how
I got 3 from Deep Space Nine, although I didn't pick.
Oh, can I say one with the ultimate one? But before we get on to this, there's another form of shit heel as well, and I call this the Nurse Ratchet. So this is the smiling. Who's the character in Harry Potter? The woman
Uxbridge.
It's not Uxbridge. It's something like that. Is it Imelda Staunton who plays her?
Dolores Uxbridge.
No, Umbridge.
Sorry, yeah.
And these are characters who are very sanctimonious. Sometimes they're religious figures. And Louise Fletcher, who played Nurse Ratchet, who was the smiling kind of velvet glove, iron fist kind of character who makes your skin crawl. And those characters are really effective because there's an incredible believability to them. We know these sanctimonious, religious, pious people who use this to get their way. And I think Kai Wynn, the character of Kai Wynn, who was also played by Louise Fletcher, who played Nurse Ratchet in Deep Space Nine, is another one of those.
I didn't pick her, but I can't believe I didn't think of her because she's the ultimate.
Yeah, I think she almost transcends into being. I think there's a subtly different thing that maybe isn't quite shitheel.
I had Jeffrey Combs as Wayoon.
Yes, Jeffrey Combs. Actually, he's played quite a few shitheels.
He's very much the sort of smiles as he orders genocide kind of character. And
I love that. Sorry, just to go back very, very quickly before I forget, one last thing on Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer is such a shitheel that even people on his side don't like him. And so, for example, the principal of the high school, and sometimes the principals of high schools in movies can be the shitheel because they're the shitheels because they're the ones who want to stop the fun. It's like when he's talking to his villainous friends, he just goes, "Put Niedermeyer on it. He's a sneaky little shit just like you," And it's just those guys. And the way that Niedermeyer gets his comeuppance at the end, you see this in so many 80s films, is there's a parade and the good guys invade it and cause chaos, and the marching band march. Niedermeyer's like, "Stop, everybody stop." I'm trying to restore calm, and restoring order is sometimes something that these bureaucrats do. And the last shot of him is him getting walked over, stomped, crushed by the marching band going, "No, everybody stop." And that was a common thing. Like you'd see it in every cheesy 80s comedy, like, Mannequin on the Move or whatever, would end with the main character kind of...
Jesus Christ. What shit have you been watching lately?
Oh, mate, I said, wait till you get to what we've watched. It's like, you're going to...
Revenge of the Nerds or whatever it was, and Mannequin on the Move.
No, Revenge of the Nerds 2, Nerds in Miami, I think you'll find this thing.
I've never seen any of them.
You're not really missing much. But anyway, sorry, please carry on. You were talking about Jeffrey Combs.
Oh, Jeffrey Combs is just I mean, he's a great actor anyway, character actor. But I don't think I've ever seen him play anybody remotely normal or nice.
No, I mean, I think of him in The Frighteners. That was a great performance.
Yeah, and him in Reanimator.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a weird
Well,
dude.
the thing
And
about Jeffrey Combs is he's one of those actors where you see his face a lot, but he's also a bit of a Doug Jones in the way that he's played a lot of characters in prosthetics, and he's famous for being one of the actors who's played the most characters in Star Trek because of the amount of sort of facial appliances that these actors wear. It means you can come back again and again and again. And it's so funny. There's one episode of Deep Space Nine where he's actually playing two characters because he had a recurring character role as Brunt, one of the Ferengi, and he had a recurring character role as Wayoon, who was a Horta, one of the Dominion. And there was one episode that just so happened to have both of those recurring characters in it. So he just had to, the Vorta. So he had to play. Sorry, I said Horta. Sorry, that's a different creature in Star Trek. But so there was one episode where both of those characters were in it, so he had to play both. But because he was wearing appliances and through, the wizards at the wizards at Lucasfilm, even though it wasn't Lucasfilm.
Magic of
Wizards
at Lucasfilm.
The wizards. They were always wizards, weren't they? I'm like, really? They've got wizards? That's like, it's one of those cliches, isn't it? Like we always talk about cribs when they go in the bedroom. Like this is where the magic happens, and it's like I just love once for them to pull up a top hat like a magic wand. This is where the magic happens.
One of those, a pointy one.
Yeah. Well, no, but they pull the rabbit out of the top hat. That was the thing, wasn't it?
No, that's a stage magician. A wizard is like fucking. Merlin.
Yeah, but they say this is where the magic happens. I'm talking about anyway, yeah. So, as you were,
and Mark Alamo as Ducat, would be the other one in Deep Space Nine for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me,
he's just a really snidey.
He is slimy, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's almost too clever and Machiavellian to be a shitheel. Like I compare him more to characters like J.R. Ewing, because I say that J.R. Ewing and Gul Dukat, they're too competent.
Kind of a pettiness.
You're right, actually. That is a defining element.
Pettiness to Ducats.
It's not even about with shitheels. Sometimes it's a personal thing, is it? It's not about them succeeding. It's as much about their adversary failing. It's like with Dickless in Ghostbusters. There's probably been a long line of Venkmans in his life who've got the girl and been successful, and he's played by all the rules and he's embittered. So when he's angry at Venkman, he's angry at a whole litany of Venkmans that have haunted him his entire life.
And usually the shitheel is the antithesis of the hero in film and TV anyway.
Absolutely.
I think one of the other ones that popped into mind, even though it's a very, very short role, was Peter Serafinowicz's character in Shaun of the Dead, Pete.
Yes.
Because all you really know is he tried to stop a mugging or a fight outside a pub or something, and then you hear his opinion on his best mate, which is like he's a slacker loser and needs to get a job, and then he turns into a zombie. But I suppose he sort of fell into the yuppie category of the shitheel, but is instantly sort of set as opposite to Sean and his buddy.
That's the right. They're sometimes just used as much as they're an antagonist. They're used as a contrast to inform the character of the protagonist. I mean, and also they've often got great names as well. Like, I mean, the guy in Ghost, but Walter Peck. It's just Walter is like, I mean, the softie in the Beano, Dennis the Menace's, was Walter, and Peck, it's short for Pecker. It's kind of, I think about another one. This is a real deep cut here, and you won't recognise this one, I don't think. But James Spader's character, Steph McKee in Pretty in Pink. Those John Hughesy kind of 80s movies, they often had great ones. And of course, there's a case for saying that Biff in Back to the Future is a bit of a shitheel character as well, particularly the older Biff. But two that really jump out at me is, in fact, it's a whole cadre of them. James Cameron movies have great shitheels. I think about Carter Burke in Aliens, the Paul Reiser character. He's and the corporate agenda one as well. Cal Hockley, who's the Billy Zane character in Titanic as well.
He's a classic.
I mean, right down to the fact that I think does he have a mustache? If he doesn't, he should. He's got greased back hair. You know,
He's got one of those he's got one of those smarmy, greasy haircuts from the
he has,
1920s.
and Billy Zane. I mean, I love Billy Zane. I think he's great. I think he's really underrated. But his smile, he has got that. It's a smirk. It's not a smile. It's a smirk. And I mean, and I also think about, I mean, the Bill Paxton character in True Lies as well, like James Cameron and the I can't remember the actor's name, but the general guy in Avatar as well. You know, it's like it's just such a classic shorthand. If you're one of those filmmakers like James Cameron who just deals in these really broad kind of tropey storylines, like, you know, Avatar's a great example of that. Pocahontas as a sci-fi. Any other ones that you want to mention, Paul, that have made your list?
No, those are the only ones that sprang to mind immediately. I'm sure there are. I mean, half the ones you've mentioned, I agree with as well. There are loads, but some just tend to stick in the old brain box more than others.
Yeah, I've got a. Hang on, I think I've got a couple more in. Let me just find my notes. Characters who cheat as well. Not cheat as in have extramarital affairs, but because that's fine. No, characters who cheat as far as, like, you know, like they'll be having a race with somebody, so they cut the brake wire, you know, that kind of thing. Like I think about like the Commodus character, the Joaquin Phoenix character in Gladiator. You know, he'll drug somebody to win. That's a classic one as well. And, you know, and you see that, and the corporate ones as well, like the one that really springs to mind. Now, this is an extreme case of shitheel. This is one where I was thinking maybe he isn't a shitheel because what he does is so awful. But then I thought, well, no, because he doesn't have all the traits. He's jealous, he's weaselly, he's weak. He has to cheat in order to beat somebody who's better and stronger than him and cleverer than him. And
he's here tonight.
Yes, that's it. It's what's the character's name? Oh, this is a great. This is I didn't even know this. This character's definitely a shitheel. His name is Percy Wetmore. And it's the Doug Hutchinson character from the Green Mile. You know, the guy who messes up the electrocution.
Oh, the guy that built nests in X-Files.
It's Tombs, yeah.
With his own slime.
Yeah, yeah. Percy Wetmore. So, I mean, admittedly, he
I think he might cross over to full-on villain.
No, I agree, but I think that his character traits are those of a shitheel. It's just
he's definitely slimy
and like he is weak and stupid, and he has to use privilege. You know, like he's only got the job, I think, because his uncle is on the board or something like that. That's the other thing. Nepotism sometimes factors in. It'll be like. I mean, I think about Christian Bale's character in the Samuel L. Jackson Shaft film, who he's very much a millionaire. Like, there's a great bit as well where he does something awful and Shaft takes him down. And Christian Bale, slimy yuppie, looks at Samuel L. Jackson. He's like, "Do you know who my father is?" And Samuel L. Jackson's like, "No, do you?" And I always thought that was a great comeback, you know. But yeah, sometimes privilege and nepotism and inherited power, you know, power that wasn't earned. But was in some way gifted or given, can be a defining one. But yeah, and I think that the figure of the shitheel is something that it still exists in a way because it does change. But I do feel like it was a trope from a more innocent time, a simpler time of storytelling, and I think now we are still very much in the era of realism. And
we're definitely in the era of there are greater evils in the world.
Exactly. But I think that there was something comforting about the shitheel because particularly in films from the 80s and 90s, there was never any question that they were going to succeed.
The shitheel's the throwback to the mustache twirling villain.
Yes.
They're not murdering loads of people, but they're mean and they're
dastardly.
Two-faced and
like Dick Dastardly, you know, is a great heel. You know, he's even got the curly moustache.
I think that's why you find so many of them in comedies because they are something that should be laughed at, and
and the pleasure that the audience gains, because in real life, unfortunately,
The shithills often win.
yeah, like the bureaucrats, the bank manager who refuses you a loan, who's 19, and 19 years old, and all of these frustrations in real life that we encounter, when you get a parking ticket, or all of these, there's something very therapeutic about seeing them bested, and I think often it makes the actor seem so much more charismatic and likable. Burt Reynolds went up against some great shithills, and you always knew that he was going to win. He was always going to get one over on them because he kind of controlled the room, And Bill Murray as well as another great actor, Bruce Willis. These actors Steve Guttenberg as well, like the Police Academy films and movies like that have got a lot of those kind of pencil pushing, rule keeping, but rule keeping in a pedantic,
a Jobsworthy sort of way.
Yeah, kind of letter of the law versus the spirit of the law kind of approach to rules are very much a thing. But cool. Okay, well, let's do a little bit of what we watched. We've still got time for that. Obviously, it's been a while since we've recorded. So I've got a lot. So I'll just cherry pick a couple of things here. Let me just bring up my letterboxed. I'll just procrastinate for a moment here while I do this. Okay, here we go. Where am I? Diary. All right, so, wow, gosh, I've got a lot of choice here. I'm going to be uncharacteristically negative here about a film that everybody seems to have loved. And I actually gave it quite a high letterbox score, but I think I'm going to knock one off because the more of it, knock one off. That sounds really bad, doesn't it? As soon as I said that, the second I said it, I just thought, God.
You were a split second before me mentioning it.
Yeah, you were like, he said it.
He said a thing. He said a thing.
I always think about that moment. I've talked about this before on the podcast, but I think about this at least once every couple of months. I remember when me, you, and Steve Fay were sat in the living room at the Brown House, and Mark Cobain walked in, and inexplicably, he'd obviously just bought them. He was wearing cowboy boots, and he tucked his trousers in, and we all looked at each other, and there was this exchange of looks of like, do you want to go? No, you can take this one. We were kind of like. So it's like when Joey walks in dressed as an elf, and Chandler's like too many jokes, just like short circuiting. But anyway, yes. So so I am going to knock one off the score here, and this is a film that everybody. Maybe I went in with too high expectations, but this is the Lord and Miller directed Project Hail Mary. Starring Ryan Gosling, based on the Andy Weir novel. Now, I was looking forward to this because I'd heard a lot of good things about it. I like Ryan Gosling. I like Lord and Miller. They're fun filmmakers who've made really diverse films. They're kind of like Rob Reiners in that regard. Is it Andy Weir? I think it's Andy Weir who wrote this. Also wrote The Martian, which I really enjoyed, the Ridley Scott version of that film. And this felt like a similar vibe. And it was good, but I just feel like it was... it's about a guy who basically is sent into space on a Hail Mary mission to save the world, essentially. And he encounters a non-anthropomorphic alien entity. Rocky, yeah. And a lot of the film is their interactions and their friendship. I just felt like this one, I don't know, just didn't quite land for me. Visually, it was interesting. All credit to Ryan Gosling. It is pretty much a one-man show of a movie, and I think that you have to have a lot of natural charisma to be able to carry that, and he does.
Is it because you're a jaded old prick, though?
I think it could be, but a lot of it, I could feel...
I often find myself watching stuff and thinking, I'm not really into this. But I definitely think it's me and not the film.
Yeah, I think it could be. I think it could be. I mean, and... I could see the tricks, I could see the manipulation, and I just felt like I could feel myself being played by the... I think this might have just been literally a frame of mind thing when I sat down and watched it, because The Martian does a lot of similar things, and I really enjoyed that. So I liked this, but I don't understand why.
This feels very much in the vein of, like, family science fiction. whereas The Martian is more serious science
Well, no, The
fiction.
Martian. I disagree with that. I think moderately, yes, but The Martian's a very crowd pleasing, fun
But it
movie.
still tries to maintain at least an air of
Well, there's
this
no
is how it
aliens in
would
it,
be.
So I
Yeah.
mean, so there is a genre distinction between the two. But I would say that I'm struggling to understand why the one worked for me and the didn't. I felt like this one was just a little too cloying and a little too cute in some ways. But I still liked it. It's still a 3 out of 5 once I've knocked one off. But but yeah, it's fine, and I enjoyed it, and it looks good, and the performances are good. But I could feel myself being manipulated. It's a little bit like Spielberg movies. Like, I've got no problem with Spielberg movies like E.T. and Close Encounters, where he is manipulating the audience, but he's doing it really well, and it's done with sincerity and artfulness. But then you get to later Spielberg films, like all from that era, like Always, and his entry in the Twilight Zone movie, and it's really, he's gone too far. He's miscalibrated that a little bit, and you can really see it. And those films don't work as well.
Yeah,
And I,
it goes from sweet to cloying.
yeah, and I think there's what that ultimately comes down to is sincerity. I think that with ET, when you watch ET, that feels like a very personal film. You can feel the personal experience. You can feel the trauma from his childhood of his family breaking up and all of these sort
And
of things.
him playing with his Mr. Hanky alien.
Yeah, exactly. And but when you get to the later films, it feels a lot more like, oh, they're like that. I'll do that more. And that's kind of how I felt with Project Hail Mary. To me, I felt a little bit of cynicism behind it, whereas with The Martian, to me, that felt very sincere and very genuine. And again, but again, it's in the eye of the beholder. And I still like
I'm
this,
not so
but didn't
sure.
love it. Have you
I'm
seen
not
this?
so sure. I started watching it, but the copy I had was a bit glitched, so I'm going to wait for a better one.
Yeah.
But I thought it very much felt to me like it was kind of a tradition. It was a more of a traditional family film than the trailers made out.
It is.
It
That's
was
correct. Yeah. And
that
I'll tell you the
felt
same about
like
The Martian.
yeah. This one felt very much pitched in that way. I quite liked what I saw at the beginning, but yeah, I think I will watch the rest of it. But I think there's first of all there's been a noticeable lowering in writing quality in recent big Hollywood
I
releases.
agree. And do you want to know why that is?
I don't know.
This is my theory. Is I think we've moved from a time where writers were writing based on personal experience to a time where writers are writing based on growing up watching movies. Like if you think about,
Oh, right, yeah.
if you
So
think about,
it's people growing up in the digital age,
yeah, people
really. Because there's
who've
always been writers that watch movies.
absolutely, but I think that that's become more extreme. I mean, if you think about, a good example of this is comparing different eras of Star Trek. If you look at the original series, a huge amount of those writers, they will have fought in World War II. They will have seen the world through service. And then if you look at writers of modern Star Trek, they will have learnt about the world through media culture and through social media and through podcasts and storytelling. So I think that has been a big part of it. I think that he's,
I didn't think of it that way, but that's a good
I just think
point.
that what we're seeing is less lived experience. And I think that that's been a
It's
somewhat
quite
gradual thing.
I find it almost immediately as soon as I put on a lot of newer stuff, the the characters aren't believable. They don't behave or speak words like normal human
I
beings
think
do. It's
also there's an
really
element
jarring.
of popular culture has become increasingly politicized as well. So there's a feeling that your film has to say something about your perspective on the culture and the world and social justice.
Well, and I wouldn't really have a problem with that if that's what the film's about.
No,
It's
but
when It's when the film isn't real, when you're making a science fiction action film and you try to shoehorn that
Well,
crap in,
when
but
it
it
doesn't work
doesn't
is when
work.
the characters stop being living, breathing characters with internal lives and start becoming a mouthpiece for the thing that you want to say. And I don't care what the thing is that you want to say, whether that's liberal or conservative is completely irrelevant. It's just simply the fact that you are robbing
Yeah,
that
it is.
character of
I
their
mean, it always
agency.
has been. It's just an art form.
Yeah. So I think that the
Yeah,
difference is I
it's
think that
such a
when some
shame because it's how far away are we from Chat GPT? Write me a script where this happens
yeah.
because that's what some of them feel like. It feels like people have witnessed humanity from a distance and are now writing their version of it.
And it's not necessarily always
And
automatically a bad
it's
thing.
very hard.
And it's been happening for a long time as well. So, for example, if you were to compare Pulp Fiction to Goodfellas, two crime movies made by filmmakers, from different generations. What you see with, and I love both of those films probably equally, but if you look at Goodfellas, what you really see is you see the authorial voice of somebody who grew up in that environment, and really understood those people, was one of those people, knew what it was like, really strange, specific, random detail that generally you only get from people who really experience something and that you've never seen before, and true insights into a culture that you perhaps had never experienced or knew about before. If you look at Pulp Fiction, what you see is an awesome movie made by somebody who knows a lot about movies and has seen a lot of Scorsese movies, but at the same time was detached enough because social media and things like that didn't exist in the 90s, that they were going out and having their own experiences that meant that when they remixed all of this stuff, they were bringing a really singular, personal vision to this recycling and recomposing of pop cultural elements. Then if you jump to now and you look at movies like, Crime 101 or whatever the modern sort of equivalent are, it's simply a recomposition of tropes and characters who are saying things that feel informed by amalgamations of previous characters. So I think that what you're seeing there, but what I think is interesting is new ways of expressing oneself will start to emerge once the younger generations find their own voice. And I think we're starting to see that now with films like Backrooms and Obsession, where really young filmmakers who've come out of YouTube and gaming and all of these sort of areas are starting to find their own voice. So we're seeing things like The Mandalorian and Grogu and Supergirl and Masters of the Universe, which are these big Generation X franchise films bombing. And we're seeing these much lower budget films made by young filmmakers that have come out of culture and mediums that interest them and are quite baffling sometimes to older
I
people.
was watching some new trailers the other night, and I have noticing that there seems to be a resurgence of, I suppose, what I would call proper films with proper actors shot on location.
Well, The Odyssey is a great example of that.
I'm not so sure the Odyssey is a great example of that,
No,
but
it is. It is. I mean, it was completely shot practically on location. Everything was
yeah, but
built.
I think hands down some of the worst casting I've seen in a film
Well, I've
for
not seen
many
it yet, so I
years.
mean, I mean, I'm aware what those arguments are, but I haven't seen the film yet, so I don't know what his vision is of that.
But
But
there's a couple actually that are coming out, but there's one with Russell Crowe and Ethan Hawke. I'm trying desperately to remember the name of it, but it looked really good, but very much almost sadly felt like a throwback because it looked like a film rather than a shiny like Disney Marvel
it's
film.
so sad when they become like notable exceptions.
Yeah, there was just a bit of grain and grit to it. It looked
You
like
know
it was
what?
a dude with a camera pointing it at.
I think you hit something there because I think one of the other reasons why sometimes films characters feel ill-defined is it's so much easier to make films quickly now because of digital technology, the speed of production. It doesn't give you a time for things to kind of marinate a little bit. Like, I mean, I remember watching. I went through a phase a couple of months ago of watching making of documentaries, And I watched the making of documentaries of all of the Indiana Jones films, and the difference between Spielberg shooting Raiders of the Lost Ark and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was ridiculous. Like when they made Raiders, it looked like they were killing themselves. You know, like they all got sick. The locations were killing them. They were like, and then with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he basically directed the film from the shitter. You know, it just felt like they were there. They were like toasting champagne on sets with green screens, going, "Oh, it was 35 years ago today that we did Raiders," and it all looked so comfortable and so easy, and you know, almost like they were just
And look what it turned out.
yeah, and but there was no air or oxygen in the film, you know, and the characters weren't hugely well defined. I mean, one of the things that I love is Red Letter Media, the YouTube channel. They did a famous takedown of the Phantom Menace. It was like a 4-hour video about why the Phantom Menace sucks. And I'm playing devil's advocate here because I like that film, but they made a really great point that they sat down with these people who liked the prequels and said, right, define Han Solo. People went, well, he's kind of a rogue. He's kind of a smuggler. He's sarcastic. He's cynical, but he's got a heart of gold. And, you know, he'll do the right thing. And they're like, right, now describe Luke Skywalker. And they were like, well, he's kind of a callow youth. He's a dreamer. He's got a limited experience. He wants to have adventure, but he's still scared to leave. And they went, okay, define Qui-Gon Jinn. And they went, he's got a beard. He's a Jedi. And they couldn't. And I think that that's something that you do see a lot in modern filmmaking is if you say define a character, often you'll describe them based on comparisons to other characters in popular culture. And I think that can become a bit of a problem. Also, I think television. I think that what we're seeing is television becoming a primary premium form of entertainment meant that a lot of writing habits from television have started to bleed over into film, and they're different mediums, you know. And television, the whole point of television is just to keep you watching, to the next episode, so you keep bulking up the streaming numbers, or back in the day, keep you watching so you watch the advertising. You know, it's just designed to be about keep you going. Next thing, what's going to happen next? And that's bled over into films.
Because I watched, I think it was Patrick. I can't remember
Williams?
his second name. Yes, his piece on, I think it was titled something like, "What's worse than a plot hole? It's when the plot starts eating itself." And the basic point was that Hollywood has forgotten how to write endings because
agreed.
everything both has to continue because it might be, and also almost everything has to tie in to something else, whether
or
it's
at least have the promise of more
in the future or of what's come before it. And sort of endings have become a kind of a thing in the past, and there are so many films and TV shows that fumble the ending. I mean, even the biggest ones, The Walking Dead,
Lost.
Yeah, and the Game of Thrones. I mean, nobody was happy with that ending either. I mean, it's just it seems to be a lost art almost, like making good trailers. Because quite often I see a trailer and I'm just thinking this doesn't look very good. This doesn't sell me on the film. The Supergirl trailer was a great example for that. It was terrible.
Yeah. I mean, even bad films should have good trailers. There's always enough to make a good trailer.
Exactly. Yeah. If you can't cut 90 seconds to 2 minutes of a decent trailer out of your film, I suggest you have a problem. So, I mean, and from that point, I watched Superman from 2025. And I thought this was a bit of a mess, to be honest.
I liked that. I like this, I've got to admit.
I would probably go 6 out of 10, maybe.
Okay.
I didn't hate it, but I thought it had. I mean, I quite like David Corenswet as Superman. I thought he was terrible as Clark Kent, although you don't get a lot of.
6 out of 10 is that's a classic DC rating, really, isn't it? I guess in a lot of ways they've made a lot of 6 out of 10s.
You don't get a lot of him as Clark Kent in the film, but
no, barely any.
And I didn't think he was very good as Clark Kent, but I thought he was fine as Superman. Him and Rachel Brosnahan,
Yep.
is it Brosnahan? Had zero
I
chemistry.
disagree. I thought they were great together. That scene where she's interviewing him, I thought was great.
I thought they had seriously. I could not see these two people as a couple at all.
Fair enough.
I thought Nicholas Hoult was quite good as Lex Luthor, probably a bit young or
I
a bit
just
young
love the fact
looking.
that he just hated Superman. That was his,
Yeah,
and I kind of like the simplicity of that. He's like, I just hate that guy. It was that simple.
I liked Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner,
Well, I mean,
but
he just played, he was Captain Hammer, wasn't it?
but yeah, but I kind of question why he was all the other heroes in the I nearly said in the show. Look at me, get me my cigar.
Yeah,
All the other heroes and villains in the film are wearing their modern what do you call them, costumes.
yeah, like their new 52
But
look.
he's dressed as Guy Gardner from the 70s, which I just found a really strange choice. It was like he would have fit in more in the Fantastic Four movie with that design of
Yeah.
outfit than this film.
You know what the
I
best
just
thing,
thought it was very just
best thing about this film was Mr. Terrific.
I usually with DC because they don't want to take any time over any of their films and series. Is that they just introduce 20 characters in a film.
No, I feel like that worked with this one though, because the thing I liked about this one was that it just jumped in. Like there was no origin storyline. It was just superheroes are a thing. They've been a thing for a while, and here you go. And I think that was the right instinct. Whether you think that was well executed or not, okay, there's a conversation there. But the thing that I liked the most about the film was Mr. Terrific. I thought he was great. I like that
Yeah.
actor. I like that performance. His action sequence, I thought, was the best sequence in the film.
Do like all his gadgets and stuff.
And I liked the fact that they re-centralized the hopefulness of Superman as a character. It felt that the values of Superman as a character, I felt were there, and I really
Yes.
can't underemphasize
Like
how
I
important
said,
that is.
They got the feel of Superman right. I've often thought with a lot of the modern versions of Superman, it doesn't look very much like he's bothered about like collateral damage.
No, and I feel like they were very aware of redressing that here. I mean, you
And
could argue
that's
they maybe went too far with that.
That's the way villains traditionally get the upper hand with Superman in stories and in
Yeah,
the
that's his
original
weakness.
Superman films is you have one hostage and he's in trouble, which is kind of like he's supposed to be a force for good. He's not
a
supposed
protector.
to be a nuanced, edgy character. So all the Superman films where he's just throwing people through buildings and stuff, it is a little weird.
The only thing I didn't
They
like.
definitely got that right, but I don't know. I didn't think the script was up to much. I thought it was probably, and it just felt a little disjointed and a little messy with all the characters and the different.
It was a bit messy. And the one thing about it that didn't work for me, I mean, my only real negative was that middle act where Superman's in that kind of pocket universe. It was so CG. It felt like Quantumania, the Ant-Man movie.
Yes.
I feel like when you get to that level of CG, and I get it, the whole environment was meant to be this abstraction, so you kind of had to do it like that. But I do find myself checking out a little bit when you spend too much time in those environments. But for me, they got out of there
What was
just
the
in
matter
time.
with what was the matter with Terrence Stamp spinning in the window
In a record, in an album cover. Look,
Phantom Zone?
it was like the picture of those three in that big square. It's like, oh look, the new Blondie album's out. We
Oh
could
no,
go-
no, it would have been Dark Side of the Moon. That looked a bit like that on the front cover.
Yeah. Or it could have had a bit of an
Pink Floyd.
Ultravox vibe, but anyway, so I've got to wrap up time wise. So gosh, that time flew by as well. We could, I've still got like 35 what we've watched. So I could probably done a 5-hour show today. But just a quick reminder that we appreciate feedback. Chin Stroker VS Punter at gmail.com. Please do check out our friend shows, and we will be back hopefully sooner rather than later with more stuff for you. So see you again soon, guys. Bye bye.
Goodbye.